All right. So today we're discussing God's definition of speed, part two. Why yesterday we discussed why God's definition of speed is certainty. Because the more certain you are, the more free you are to move in one direction, the more likely you are to move, the more able, the more justified you are to move in one direction, to have a one track mind. So that there's no going back. You don't falter, you don't waver between one idea and the other, between where you're going to and what you're leaving behind. You are sure what you're leaving behind is wrong. So now I'm going to explain how God creates the irreversibility, how God really, really creates that certainty, and why He does things the way He does them. So to start with, we're going to have to understand the what I call the God equation. Um, time times and half a time. It's mentioned a few times in the Bible. You'll see it. Just check it. I think there are places where He mentions He did it in a time times and half a time, or He will do it in a time times and half a time. You see, I think it's in Revelation, like at least twice in Revelation, at least once in Daniel. If you want to check it, you can check it out. But that explains God. God is like for spiritual things, for God, I think that's like the equivalent of E equals to MC square. We can use it to understand everything. Yeah, time times and half a time. So that is half, one, and two. Half, one, and two. There's the progression. So I call it either the God equation or the God progression. God equation, God progression. Time half, one, and two. That is half insufficient, one full, whole, two is excess, like the essence, the source of the one. So then half is like a fraction of the one, is like an aspect of the one is whole, then the two is like the source of the one. So now for this particular iteration, we're going to have to look at it in terms of the half, one, and two will be okay. Let me explain this. For everything God creates, He creates the impostor, the actual, and then the essence of the thing. So the fake version of it, the actual thing, and then the source of the thing, the essence of the thing, what makes the thing itself. So even if the thing is gone, you can still create it. Like when they say, like the essence of garlic. Garlic is garlic. But if you have the essence of garlic, even if you don't have garlic, you can make rice taste like garlic because you have the essence of garlic. So that is how it is. So that is what the essence is. So everything God creates the impostor. And that impostor is the main problem, is the main reason why you waver. Your main problem is not like if you are looking for let's say money, wealth. Poverty will never attract you. Poverty, so the opposite of money is not your problem. Poverty is not your problem when you are looking for money. The real problem when you're looking for money, when you're looking for wealth, is the illusion of money, is the illusion of wealth. So maybe you want to become rich, you want to become wealthy. The illusion of wealth will be a high-paying 9 to 5 job, because that will keep you. Yes, so you can see it gives you a certain amount of seemingly significant amount of money, but it will keep you away from being able to earn the real big bucks that you are actually trying to look for. So your main problem in that kind of scenario is this illusion. It's not poverty. Poverty cannot distract you. Poverty cannot seduce you. This is the one that keeps on as your problem. So when you have a well-paying 9 to 5 and you want to be a billionaire, the well-paying 9 to 5 keeps on making you reluctant to take that step to go out into that like cold desert, to go out into that nothingness, to go and find your billions when you already have something that's enough here. It's enough. It's okay. This can do this. This is what a lot of people are trying looking for. So that destruction, that is the impostor. That is your problem. So God always makes His children to first go through the impostor, because if you just put you on the journey towards making the billions, you will always be looking back at that impostor, at least until you make the billions. But while you are still on that journey, you may not even arrive there, because if when things get really difficult, things get really tight, and somebody offers you that job in your moment of despair, in trying to search, because it will be very difficult to get that to those $1 billion level, in your climb towards that level, when someone offers when you are broke and stranded, and your wife is angry and she's tired of your dreams, and they offer you another high-paying 9 to 5 job. You get a job at Google. How are you going to explain to wife that you're not going to take that job? So you see, so that is the main problem. So it's the impostor. So God always creates the impostor. So for God to set you free, He needs you to go through that impostor. For example, you see the high-paying job, and see that it's not as fulfilling. It's very stressful. You don't have your freedom. You're virtually a slave once more. Even the finances, everything. So you have to see the problems for yourself, for you to be set free to go and pursue your dreams. So that impostor is necessary, because knowing the wrong path is just as important as knowing the right one. So if God wants to set you up on the proper path, He will have to, when you ask Him, for example, if you say, God, please show me the path to take, in God, in answering your prayer, will put you on the illusion of the right path, on the impostor path. Then if you are faithful on that impostor path, you will realize that this thing doesn't pay. But if you are unfaithful, you keep thinking it didn't pay because you didn't do your part. That is where Christians go about in the wilderness. Every time that thing they do, that they resolve to obey God, and when things get difficult, they disobey Him. That is you going around. Yeah, when you resolve to obey Him, you are going forward. Then things get difficult to disobey, so you are back at the beginning again. You are back. So that's how you keep on going around in circles. You never actually make progress. Never make progress, because when things get difficult, you keep doing what is comfortable instead of being faithful nonetheless. But if you are faithful nevertheless, even when things get difficult, then you will proceed. You keep making progress. You keep making progress. So like we discussed yesterday in the first part of this speed, God's version of speed, God's idea of speed, we discussed that how Joshua and Caleb were able to get through the wilderness, and the others could not get through the wilderness because of their unfaithfulness. Their unfaithfulness, keep on trying to take advantage. When serving God is profitable, they obey. When serving God becomes unprofitable, they disobey. They begin to use wisdom and some other things that they tell themselves. So the secret with God is just to be faithful. Like we discussed yesterday, that's why the ride on the white horse, the conqueror in the book of Revelations, was called faithful and true. If you are faithful and true, there's nothing you cannot bypass. There's nothing that can cage you. You'll be set free from all deception, no matter how convincing the deception is. And then once you are set free, then you are convinced, then you are sure. Then now you will not just, at first you'll be seduced by the impostor. But if you are faithful to the impostor and it fails, then you hate the impostor. You'll be repulsed. You'll be repelled by the impostor. So at that point in time, you are moving forward on two fronts. When you look forward to your goal, you are inspired to move ahead. When you look back to the impostor, you are sure that, okay, I'm not going back I'm not going back to that nonsense. So you keep on moving forward. So on both fronts, any which way you are going forward, you are going forward. You can't be seduced backwards, because you have already tried everything that could have distracted you, which is the impostor, which is the 9 to 5 job. You have tried it. You have seen that the person you're depending on for your 9 to 5 big paycheck was doing the very thing that you are trying to do. And when you even look at it, on some certain levels, you haven't better than him at that thing that he is doing, that you are trying to do. So why don't you just do it yourself? So you are now sure that this is the right path to take. You are certain. So you keep moving forward. You keep moving forward. You are not going back. So that is the speed. Because every time, every step forward is solidified, is grounded. There's no going back. So you need certainty to justify irreversibility, to justify. People will see it as proud, and people will see it as you being unteachable, but just you being certain. You are tried the one that is teachable, because you have tried what they're asking you to try, and you have been faithful there, and you are sure that it doesn't work out, doesn't really pay off. This path you are taking is more profitable. So, in that light, I think I've discussed. So, in this light, you will love the original, you love the actual, your actual billionaire wealth. That is not really what real wealth is. Real wealth is actually not money. But I'll just use this example for superficial things because it's easier for you to relate to it. If I'm so start defining what real wealth is in this same video, it will get too complicated. It will get too complicated. So for now, let's just leave it as wealth being a lot of money. Real wealth is not a lot of money. That is not real what real wealth is. When God says true riches, He's not talking about $10 billion. $1 trillion is not true riches. It's a totally different thing. I will explain that in future when we have laid certain better foundations. So yeah, so you love the actual and you hate the impostor because you have tested the impostor. The only way you can hate the impostor is to test it, even though it is so seductive. A high-paying job is very, very seductive. It's good enough for anybody. But when you have tested it and it has backfired, then you are free from it. Nobody can convince you again. Your family and friends can no longer convince you. When they talk about it, you're just laughing in your mind because you're still going to do what you're going to do because you have tested that nonsense. That's how it is. So that's how you set yourself free, and that's how you become irreversible. That's how you maintain speed, you maintain momentum. There's no going back. God's idea of real speed is actually not going back. It doesn't matter how fast you moved or how fast you arrived. If you are still going to go back, what is the point of all the speed? You're back where you started again. But So, my name is Funom Zock-Sock, and I started this YouTube channel so that I could teach God's way of doing things, God's version of doing things. Right now, I'm going to be dealing with social systems. I'm going to be making corrections to our definition of social ideas and social dynamics. So I personally call it social systems reengineering. I think it's kind of cool. So it's nice to meet you. I trust we're gonna have a blast. You take care. See you tomorrow.